r/datingoverforty. Dead Cowboy 69 says, anyone else hate pictures of themselves, and it makes old extremely difficult. I have been on old on and off for a while, but I don't have much luck, mainly because I hate pictures of myself and don't have many at all. It feels strange to stage pictures of myself, dress in different clothes, and try to get a friend to take pictures of me. Ugh. Do any of you have this issue as well, and was you able to come up with a solution? Indiali97 says, I've been told by most people throughout my life that I'm pretty, beautiful, hot, attractive, etc. But I do not photograph well. I don't know how many times I've heard you're much more attractive in person than in your pictures. I know it's supposed to be a compliment, but it still stings a little to hear that from someone. I actually had a friend recently take many pics of me in a row to try to get a good one. She would take a pic, look at it, laugh and say this isn't even what you look like. It's crazy, but true. So I often struggle with old because pics of me aren't very appealing. Lol. When I engage in old, I just try to stay hopeful the pics are okay-ish enough that men stop and look at the rest of my profile. Double a Balloon 7052 says, yeah, I'm in the same boat. When I take selfies, I don't actually take selfies, I turn on the video and I do some slow still posing, and then I go through the video and screenshot any good still shots and I use those. If I try to pose for photos, my smile looks so awkward, but doing a video where I don't have to pose works out better. A Little Mode says, there are facial shapes and proportions that translate very well to two-dimensional photos. Usually wide set eyes and flat facial landscape. We all know people who look good, but can take a photo and it's amazing it's this quality often. On the flip side, if you have dimension to your face and your eyes are closer together, most camera lenses distort this and recede certain parts of the face in an exaggerated way, and the eyes, if at any angle, will look unnaturally close. It's just the problem of turning 3 dimensions to 2 and the need for a very particular lens for the distance of camera to object. If you ever have a professional photographer take some shots, some of this may be lessened. The flip side of this is people will be always pleasantly surprised when they meet you in person. Aver_Shaw says, I loathe pictures of myself, especially since I've gained some weight. I've always disliked pics of myself, even at a smaller size, but right now I can't imagine putting pics out there, so I don't date. Funny thing is, when I see videos of myself, I like what I see. I'm objectively pretty. I have a very expressive face. When you freeze that face into a still shot, it does not look good. Also, at this age, my friends and family roll their eyes when I ask them to take pics for dating sites, so I stopped asking. Nobody takes candids. All I have is the occasional group shot, and the consensus in this sub, for good reason, is don't use those. r/datingoverforty. Robbie_G23 says, finally back to old. After 2-year break, most of which was WGF, by end of second day back to using an app, and am reflecting. I definitely need to check myself with addictive nature of the app itself. Or apps as the case may be. But with returning to the headspace of perusing, and making attempts, and waiting, and feeling awkward, but mostly, taking in so much of a view of all these other folks out there doing the same, it's a lot to take in. Any good resources on how to think about how we engage? Whether pep talky or just tips? I welcome any free advice. Brigadier Sabari says, some random tips that worked for me. I installed Bumble on a secondary phone that I would leave at home, so I couldn't check if too often. Remind yourself people swipe on your profile, not on you. Consider a match just a like. Have low expectations. Take breaks if needed. It can be quite emotionally draining. Don't overthink things. Why didn't they reply? What should I say? Can I double text? Focus on real life and see old as a way to increase your luck surface area. Don't spend too much time on it. Both the time you're actively using the app or the time you're thinking about it. A New Beginning Now says, at our age, it is about making the right connection rather than having to be smooth and pick up a woman. Try not to feel any pressure. Be selective in liking women or swiping right on them. Attempt to match only with women who, based on their profile, you would be happy to go on a date with, if other aspects of themselves that you find out are to your liking. Consider an extension of meeting people in other ways to broaden your dating pool and to come across others you wouldn't normally have encountered. Expect to have many bad days in which you don't get any matches or you get liked only by women you aren't interested in, if anyone at all. It is not easy for anyone, man or woman, old in our 40s. It will take time and perseverance. Go on a date, or at least a first meet, with women you are on the fence with. If nothing else, it will give you a better idea of the types of women you would be interested in and get along with best. And finally, don't rush. Build up a comfort level with a woman before you get into another relationship. Well, Bloom says, don't drink and swipe. ThoughtCrafty6154 says, my temperance came with use. I write decent profiles and have me and women initiating. Think about what she wants and write that down if it's true. Lying on these can get you in trouble. Want a LTR? Write it down. If you're fairly smart, write that down. If you're not emotional and usually think through things, I wrote that down. Keep a profile up for a week. If you're not getting matches, tweak it. This is tricky, and pointing out parts of you that someone likes is harder than one would think. Eventually you'll end up with a decent profile. I've known a lot of women my whole life, not necessarily as a romantic interest. Getting a feel of the kind of woman you want and what attracts her is paramount. Edit, say mostly positive stuff. Don't just have a bunch of negative things you don't want. r/datingoverforty. Igor Eats Jellyby and says, is questioning yourself after a breakup normal? It's been a few weeks since I ended a relationship with long-term FWB. I'm finally at the stage where I'm not crying and missing him, but going over things a bit in my head, trying to figure out how to let things get as far as they did without ending it sooner. I had a really abusive relationship with an ex, and after a ton of therapy I felt ready to date a few years ago. Up until now I've been able to keep my boundaries and communicate my needs without any issues. I've also had a few other FWB and always managed to keep the friendship part intact when things fizzled out. I ended things this time because his behavior was feeling more and more controlling or manipulative. For a while I was going with it because we weren't dating, and when we were together he made me feel special, which was so nice. Now it's over, and I feel like I either failed in realizing sooner what was happening, so I could have ended it way before, or I just got feelings and was being too sensitive to his actions. My friends and family vehemently disagree with me imagining it. Both options feel like a complete failure by me, and I'm afraid I was never in the good spot I thought I was. Do you think it's possible to have a blip of bad decisions and not be back at square? Kakopoli says, self-doubt is my middle name, so I'd say it's normal to question yourself. After a breakup, right before a breakup, wondering after a breakup if it would have been better to do it sooner. Sounds like normal human thoughts. Chen_bot says, please do not beat yourself up. Why in the world do you feel like a failure? Sounds like you knew this relationship was not what you wanted long term, and you, wisely, ended it. Controlling or manipulative people are masters at fooling the rest of us. Although I don't think they deliberately try to fool us, but they know certain behaviors would not be tolerated early on, so they self-edit. I mean, we all do that to an extent. You put on your best face when getting to know someone. Abusive or manipulative tendencies surface later. You hopefully learned some things that will serve you next time. If nothing else, perhaps be more protective of your feelings and don't get in too deep emotionally with someone until you feel like you really know them. And consider if FWB is truly what you want. I feel like if you did, this would not be hitting you so hard. If you're catching feelings, find someone who feels the same way about you and wants what you want. Vivavarite says, it sounds like the real problem is you are suffering from black and white thinking on the subject. You can't optimize your emotions or actions to never make mistakes or never get hurt. You will get hurt, but you will learn from each experience and you will recover. You can't stop someone from being controlling or manipulative, but you can recognize what is happening and end the relationship. That's not a failure, that is success. Anonymous Woman says, one thing I've learned since dating after divorces, that my gut instinct is rarely wrong. Select_salt_3200 says, listen. Don't beat yourself up. Couch the hurt and realize that you are growing from this experience. It hurts, but it will get better. You recognize now what qualities you want in a future partner. Breathe. Calm yourself. Reset. You are worthy. That's all for this video. Was it good? I know not, for I'm a robot. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. This video is the product of an automated process.